Hi, welcome back to Little Steps, Big Gains. My name is Elizabeth, and this is a video that has some tips and tricks for donning and doffing compression stockings, socks, and shoes. Now, this video has no paid promotions, and none of the products here sponsor this video or my channel. This is just me as an occupational therapist wanting to share some of the things I've learned over the years in case it might help you. So that being said, we're going to start with compression stockings because they are the hardest. When it comes time for compression stockings, I have tried so many devices and I have yet to find that golden ticket that works for everybody. And so because of that, I'm going to just show you a few different techniques. Now, first off, one of my favorite ones is the inside out method. And I wear compression stockings and I use this on myself in the morning and then when I go to work and help my patients. So the inside out method is when I'm going to turn most of the stocking inside out. I'm going to put my hand in there and I'm going to grab the heel. After I grab the heel, I'm going to slide it through. So the heel is still going to stick out. Let's get that heel out. All right, the heel is going to stick out, but the rest of the compression stocking is inside out. I did put my hand inside there just to smoothen out the inside, but this is what I'm left with. Now, the thing about this is when I go to pull it apart, it's tight because it's supposed to be, but I'm only wrestling with 2 layers. Now, if I take my other side and I do the old scrunchie method, now I have a lot more tension that I'm wrestling with because I have a lot more elastic layers. So that being said, I like the inside out method for that reason personally. So I take my compression stocking and now I'm going to put this on like it's a tight sock. So I open it up, slide my foot in there, just like that. Now I don't know if you can tell, but I did make sure that the heel is up because the heel is always the hardest. So when I do the inside out method, I put it on so at least that it covers the heel. Now that was the hardest part. From here, I'm going to take the flaps and I'm going to turn it outside in by sliding my foot right through. That is the inside out method. Now, first off, from here, let's talk wrinkles. Now, wrinkles can be a really big pain, especially with edema, because it's like you just get out a wrinkle and then it just creases right back up. And if your compression stockings are thin and you're working with your nails, or if you don't have the dexterity, now you're going to get rips and holes and it's just so frustrating. So they have really great gloves for this that are advertised usually for arthritic hands. But here's the brand. Jopes is a really great brand. And what you do is you use your palm instead of your fingers and the friction that you can use to smooth out wrinkles. You start at the bottom and move your way up. And it's better if you do this with both hands. Okay? These are phenomenal. However, a cheaper option is just good old kitchen rubber gloves and or garden gloves, something like that, but it's the exact same concept. So basically, instead of using my fingers, I'm going to use my palm and the rubber part, and I'm going to start at the bottom, and I'm going to move my way up. I would put both gloves on and move your way up and smooth out all those wrinkles. So that is a method I highly recommend that I've had a lot of success with for wrinkles. Now, let's talk about getting this thing off. Most of the time, my patients can at least push the compression stocking down and then they get stuck at the heel because that heel's the hardest. So I haven't personally, I'm just talking out of my personal experience, had the best luck with reachers and compression stockings because of the precision. The layers tend to just slide right through. But I have had better luck with dressing sticks. And this is a dressing stick if it's not something you're familiar with. But basically, I just have a nice hook at the end that I use. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the leverage and I'm going to put this hook down my heel. I'll do it on my opposite foot. Down the heel, gather the layers. That's the important thing, is to gather all the layers and then just slide it off. So let me show you. I'm going to get my hook down in there. I made sure, you can't tell, but I have all the layers in that hook. So that way I can just slide it off. So that has been successful for a lot of my residents. Okay, so that's getting it off. Let's talk about a few different strategies for getting on our compression stockings. Usually the biggest limitation is getting them over the heel. A lot of times because of perspiration, that heel can just be so difficult. And then so there's a few things I have found helpful for this. First off, making it easier to glide via use of a special lubricant. Now this is actually a compression assist. It is a donning aid made for compression stockings. I don't like to recommend products where people have to pay for them, but I have found luck with this, and I'm here to just share that. It's one of the things I have experienced though is if it falls on the floor, if you put drops on the floor, if it spills, it is very, very slippery. So you have to be careful. But I have had people give me good feedback about this. Another option to combat that difficulty at the heel is to put a barrier between your skin and your sock so that it's slippery and the sock slides. And so one avenue to do that is they have these different devices, and this one's called an Easy Slide. Now this particular model is made for open-toed compression stockings, and they have some for closed-toed. For this particular model, I'm going to stick my foot inside of here, and then I'm going to put the compression stocking on top of that, and it'll help it slide. Now, the reason it has to be an open-toed is because then I would take this little handle from the front and I would pull it out. So let me show you, just to show you the whole, the mechanics of it. So it's a little loud, but I'm gonna put this on over my foot. Like that. Now I'm going to take my, let me undo it here, compression stocking. Okay. Make sure we set ourselves up for success. Okay, so now I'm going to bend down. Make sure you can see all this. Okay, and I'm going to slide it on. And that was a little easier because there was just a slipperier surface underneath. And now this is where I need that open toe portion so I could take that handle and pull it out. And now I'm stuck. So I'm going to have to take the whole thing off. But I wanted to show you the mechanics of that, because this has been something that's been successful. Okay, so now let's go to an old school therapy trick. And that's to use the garbage bag method or the plastic bag method. So it's basically using a garbage bag and to use the same approach. So I'm going to take my, it doesn't have to be a 13-gallon here. This is just what I have, so I grabbed it. So you take your garbage bag and take a corner of it and make a knot with a tail. All right, so I have a knot and a tail. Okay, so what I would do is put this knot between my toes and then put the garbage bag underneath my foot. And the heel is the big part. That's the part we really care about. Okay, so now I'm going to do the exact same thing I did with the Easy Slide. I'm going to use that garbage bag as a layer to help me slide and glide. Hold on, I got caught on my own toes. I had toe surgery and there we go. Okay, so now that I have that on, I have to get the garbage bag out. And that's where my little tail and knot come in. So I'm gonna cross my leg and I can feel that knot right here. So I'm gonna unhook it between my toes. Okay, so now it's no longer between my toes, which means I can take the outside end of the bag in the back and I can just pull it out. So that is an option. Now, I have seen this work really well with some people and then just flat out fail with others. And a lot of it depends on that person and how big their legs are in terms of edema, how flexible they are, but especially how durable the garbage bag is or the plastic bag, because that's been a disaster if it's not durable enough. The amount of perspiration on there and the amount of practice. So I wanted to include it because people have found success with it, and so that's why it's on here. Okay, and now we're going to discuss a product. And one of the products I do like is called the Don and Doffer, and it's right here. So one of the biggest kickbacks I get from it is that it looks so weird. And but basically it's two pieces. You get this little alien jelly guy and then this rod, okay? And you put it down and you suction cup it to your table, or it's suction cup down. And this is where I lose people and I say, hang in there with me, okay? You put your compression stocking on, and then you take your little alien jelly friend and you put him down, and you take the compression stocking and you roll it up like this. Okay, just like that. So now I have my little alien jelly friend with my compression stocking over him. And you can see where there's a crease, and that crease is where my toes need to go with my dirty socks. So I'm gonna cross my leg for this because this does require flexibility. And I'm going to put my toes in the crease. Okay, sorry, my Labradoodle's itching. Okay, now I'm going to take this little jelly guy, my little alien friend, make sure I can see, and I'm going to pull it on up like that. Okay, so I have found people have good luck with this. Now, there's a disadvantage here. You do have to be flexible. So you have to be able to either reach those toes to pull this up, or do that figure 4 where you can cross your leg to pull it up. So you do need the flexibility for this. But I have found it useful for caregivers who it's just much easier for them to don and doff their loved ones' compression stockings this way. Now, here's another reason I do like this product. This is a product that helps you take them off also. So I'm going to take my little alien jelly friend and I'm going to put him on, and I'm going to take the outside of my sock and I'm going to roll it right off. So that's what I like about this. It helps you get it on and help you get it off. Now, I'm really hesitant about recommending products in general because of money. I hate to recommend a product unless I know for sure it's going to work for that individual. And that's why I have products for my residents to trial. And then if they like it, then they go and purchase it. So it's hard for me over the internet here to tell people about products because I don't want them to go buy them and then have it not work for them. On the flip side, I do want to share what's out there. So this is a Don and Doffer. I'm including it in the description because I've had good luck with it. Now, one more thing for compression stockings. I actually do like Velcro ones. I have found those to be very beneficial in the aspect that it's easier to Velcro than that's my Yorkie, than it is to pull up the socks, especially for caregivers. So that's just a side note there. All right, that was a lot, but I think that's it for compression stockings. Now let's go on to something easier, and that's socks. Okay, the golden recommendation for socks is using a sock aid if you're struggling. And this is just a very, very standard one. My foot, this is the top and this is the bottom. So my foot is going to just slide in. And I'm going to take my favorite pair of socks because these have pictures of my dogs on them. 1, 2, and 3. I don't know if you can see all of them. But anyways, so I'm going to put this on here. And instead of using my fingers to kind of grip this and pull on it, I'm going to use my palms. Just like those rubber gloves, I want to use my palms instead of my fingers. So I'm actually going to plant this baby on my lap. I'm going to take my palms and I'm going to squeeze this together and push down. So squeeze and push. squeeze and push, because when I squeeze, it gives me all this slack. Okay, sit on my little guy. So squeeze and push, so much easier. All right, it's all the way on here because you want it tight on your device, or else it won't be tight on your foot. Okay, so then I'm gonna put it on the ground and I'm gonna go fishing for my foot. And here's where I get made fun of, because I call this the point and pull. And so what I tell people to do is make sure you point your foot down, because if you point your foot up, you're just gonna get stuck. So you have to point it down and grab those handles and then pull it back. And that's why it's called the point and pull. Now, if you have perspiration, or if you just finished bathing, I have had people put a little bit of baby powder in here, and then it really just glides right on. So that's an option as well. So that's it for getting on the socks. Now getting off the socks, you can use a reacher, dressing stick. It's late for me. A dressing stick, or I have found reachers to be useful for socks. It's the same thing as the compression stockings. However, you need to go down the heel, and I'll show you. Let me get it in there. Okay. If I'm going to go down the heel to get it off as I lose my, okay. If I were to go down the side, I'm just going to get caught on the heel. If I go in the front, I'm going to get caught on the heel. It absolutely just has to go down the heel. And then once you get that part, then you're good to go. Okay? So that is an avenue to get socks off. Either using, or I've had families make basically just rods with hooks or reachers. Okay, so socks is much easier. That's about it for socks. I have had people ask me, well, why can't I just use my sock aid with my compression stockings? Well, if you put this on here, which I'm not going to take the time to do, it's going to give you about this much room to squeeze your foot in there. And they have extra wide sock aids, by the way, extra wide ones, which are nice, but still not wide enough for these. The sock aids that work with compression stockings are called gutter sock aids, and they are huge and they work, but they're very difficult to get the sock on it. So pros and cons. I have found some people use it, but they're younger individuals that have the grip strength, the dexterity to get that thing on. So, okay, good question. Now we transition to shoes. So this particular video is tips on how to put on the shoes you already own. And I say that because there are so many amazing new brands out there with these innovative ideas, including zippers and like bouncing shoe heels and just amazing things out there. So this video is tips for if you want to put on the shoes that you have right in front of you. Now, my first go-to for gym shoes is to change out the shoelaces to elastic shoelaces. And with elastic shoelaces, there's a few different options. The most common are just to get the basic elastic ones that look like real shoelaces, but they have elastic to them. And what you do is you lace them up and you tie it, double knot it, and then you never have to untie it again. That's what I have on my shoes. Okay, these are actually elastic shoelaces. And so I never have to untie or tie my shoes. And believe it or not, every single time I put these on residents' feet, they feel like their shoe is so secure also. So I just say that because it's not like you put elastic shoelaces on and then your shoe is loose. Okay, it still gives that recoil to give you that support. All right, so this is option A. Option B, well, there's many options for elastic shoelaces out there, but the second most common is to get these horizontal ones where you lay it across the shoe. And I've seen these to be very helpful. Here's another pair of my shoes, different pair, where it has the horizontal ones in front. And this has been really beneficial for my residents who have severe edema because the horizontal layage kind of gives them a little bit more room in there. So that's an option as well. So I'm going to show you 2 ways to put on shoes in terms of shoehorn options. A is your classic long-handled shoehorn, and B is a foot funnel. Okay, so let me show you how to use both of these. Not that you don't know, but so step 1, the tongue always gets in the way. And so one thing I do with my elastic shoelaces is I actually take the tongue, I'm going to stand up here, and I tuck the bow underneath the tongue. So I stick the tongue out. I don't know if you can see that. Okay, so the tongue is stuck out. That kind of helps me. So then what I do from there is I use my reacher to position the shoe on the ground and hold that tongue up out of the way. All right, so that is positions. Now let's go to our classic good old long-handled shoehorn. With both of these techniques, you always put the toe in first. So always put that toe in. I'm going to set up my shoehorn first. You don't want to try to get the shoehorn after your foot's in there. Okay, so I'm going to let go of the tongue. I put my toe in. I did the toe heel. That's what it's called, toe heel. Now, my tongue, I'm just going to take my bow out from underneath it and flip that back again. Okay, that is option 1, the toe heel option with a long-handled shoehorn. Okay, now I'm going to put on my sock. My husband is going to make fun of me for how funny I look. Okay, so now I'm going to use a foot funnel on this side. I love foot funnels. Okay, so the amazing thing about a foot funnel is what we really want to target when it comes time for shoehorns is protecting the back of our shoes, because once we start to kind of put pressure on this and it starts to cave, it gets softer and softer and softer, and it loses all that recoil there. So what we really want is to protect that from the day you buy your shoes, and that's where foot funnels are amazing. So basically you just put the foot funnel inside the shoe like that. And I'll do a better demonstration. But also you can just, when you Google foot funnels, it'll show you on there as well. So one of the nice things is not only is it going to protect the back, but it opens up the shoe. Do you see how wide it is now? For all of my residents and patients who have swollen feet, foot funnels are phenomenal for them, because it's literally like somebody's hands jump in front of you and open up your shoe for you and hold it for you. How great is that? So you set it up there, and it's also nice for caregivers because we're going to put it on the ground and then you take your hands off. You're not sticking your thumb in there and getting stepped on. Okay, so I'm going to flip my tongue out like I like to do. Same thing with the reacher. You really want to make sure you position the shoe first. Okay, now it's the same thing. I'm going to do the toe first. Okay, toe. And then, like I said, this is great. I say to my resident, set them up and I say, now push. And they just push their foot in there, and that's it. And then in order to take this little foot funnel out, you can pull on the strings and it comes right out. I'm going to flip the tongue out of the way, and there we go. Now the other thing, like I said, I really like about foot funnels is because it opens up the shoe. That becomes in very handy. And then, like I said, for caregivers, it makes it much easier. So those are the 2 options that I've come across with and worked with a lot in terms of shoehorns. And that's where I find the foot funnel to be very beneficial as well. So I think that's it for the shoes in terms of laces and foot funnels and shoehorns. In terms of Velcro shoes, those are always so difficult, especially if you lack flexibility and grip strength. So one of the things I've done and I'll post a picture of this with my resident, is my friend with Parkinson's, so we actually drilled holes at the end of the Velcro latches, and then I put key rings in there on each side, 1 key ring on each one. And then he took his reacher, grabbed the key ring, and then used that to pull over the lace. so the Velcro. And so that was an option for leverage for him. There are other options like that, but basically putting some sort of device on there. Same thing with zippers on the feet. If you could just put some sort of like zipper pull or a ring there that you can use a reacher to zip up and down. Now, one of my recent patients with MS, she really struggled with, she would get her foot, and this is a very common thing, getting her foot positioned, and then every time she wanted to put her foot in, the shoe would go in front of her. So then she would be playing this game where she'd be trying to pull her foot back, but she was too weak to do it. So this is where I'll put somebody in front of a wall, and then they can use the wall to push their foot in that way as well. I'm going to actually do this so they can push their foot into the wall. Or with her, she was pretty weak, so she was in a wheelchair. So what we did is we set her foot inside her boots, gave her wheelchair, and she just wheeled herself forward into her shoe. So she wheeled herself into the shoe instead of the shoe into her, and that worked out really well for her as well. So I think those are some of the tips and tricks I have for shoes. I hope, now this video is not all encompassing, but I hope maybe one or two of these tips or tricks come in handy for you, because that's what I'm here for. Little steps every day, we can make some big gains. Thanks for coming and checking out my channel.